Good morning, everybody. Glad to have you here today. If you want to follow along, you can catch up here. Just going to look at one verse this morning, Genesis chapter 35, and beginning in verse 8. Fairly simple, straightforward verse that just want to kind of look at as we transition into another piece of the story of Jacob. Kind of bring the curtain down on one scene and move into another. Verse 8 says, "And Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried under an oak tree below Bethel. So he called its name Allon Bakuth." Again, pretty straightforward verse. Again, nothing real complicated there. A woman by the name of Deborah passes away. And I will say, I think this verse hints at what a change that God has made in the life of Jacob. We see here that Deborah, who had been Rebekah's nurse, passes away, and Jacob takes her and buries her under an oak tree. Which brings us to question, I guess, kind of the unseen question is how Deborah ended up living with Jacob in the first place. How she ended up there. We don't. There's no scripture that tells us Jacob ever went to visit with his mother and father after returning to the promised land. But somehow he must have. The fact that Deborah was now with him seems to indicate that at some point he probably went to see his family and maybe told Dinah, "I appreciate so much," or Deborah, "I appreciate so much what you've done for my family. You can come live with me now." And obviously we see here that now Rebecca is dead, or she would still be taking care of her. So we can kind of pick up on a lot of things going on here that are not specifically laid out. No doubt Deborah was somebody Jacob looked at very fondly. She probably helped take care of him as a child, probably took care of him as a young man, as a teenager, looked after her. It appears from this statement that she was probably a good, godly woman, since the Bible has a whole lot of folks who died that the Bible never mentions. But God sees that her death gets noted. She had helped take care of Jacob as a young man, and now was most likely taking care of him as an old man, and helping manage his family, probably just like she had done for him as a child. Now she was helping raise his children, and so when she dies, he buries her under an oak tree called Allon Bakuth. That name in the Hebrew means the tree of weeping. In other words, there was sadness there. Obviously, Jacob loved Deborah. As I read this again, to me, it's almost as much what is not said. I think this verse just shows us that Jacob, how much change God has made in the life of Jacob. How much the word we would use in our culture today is revival. That Jacob has not always dealt with the tests of his faith very well. He has not always dealt with challenges very well. And here is a woman who he's known his whole life, again, who probably took care of him as a child, and now is probably helping take care of his children, and she passes away. And we see Jacob dealing with that situation. There's a hymn we sing. For the life of me, I can't think of the hymn. I can't think of the name of it. I can think of the line. The line says, "What a marvelous change since Jesus! What marvelous change since Jesus came into my life." And that's what we see in Jacob as we go through his story here. I hope, even though we're doing it in little tiny couple of verses at a whack, I hope you'll keep the whole picture in mind and remember what kind of man Jacob was when we met him, what kind of young man he was: deceitful, sneaky, conniving, just pretty much everything you don't like in a person. But how over time God has been working in the life of Jacob, and that God has been changing him and making a new man out of him. And again, this verse doesn't even the verse I read, this one doesn't even mention Jacob's name, but he is certainly there, and God is certainly there working in the life of Jacob. I hope you'll join me this morning in praying, Lord, make a change in me. Make me a better person. Make me a different person. I want people to be able to see a change in me, a difference in me every day, because of what God, the work that he is doing in my life. Join me in praying that prayer today. Pray it for me, I'll pray it for you, that God will work in us, that others will be able to see the difference that he is making in your life. All right, you have a great day. I'll see you here Monday morning.